Hi, this is Derek Murphy from creativity.com, and I want to review Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm actually in Bali right now. She's famous for Eat, Pray, Love, which part of which is set in Bali. I'm at this lounge club, which is why the music is crazy loud behind me, but I wanted to really quickly review this book because I liked it a lot. I liked it more than I expected to, and I've read a lot of books about creativity and the creative process, and a lot of them focus on the craft or the art, and they say things like inspiration and muse, and she also does. Elizabeth Gilbert definitely has a little bit more of a woo-woo spiritual view of creativity. However, there's some really good practical advice for overcoming fear and creating work that matters, which I found really helpful. So I'm going to read a couple quotes that resonated with me the most. I hope that they also resonate with you. The thing that I usually deal with, especially with writers, is that they've been working on something for years, like 5 years or 10 years, and the problem is they just can't finish it. And often that's because they don't know who their audience is, or what, they don't have a roadmap, they don't know what they're trying to write. The first time you do anything, it's always going to be difficult and challenging, and it's not always, people assume like if they're good at writing or if they're filled with a muse, then writing a book is just going to be easy. And that's a misconception. If you believe writing a book is going to be easy, then you're going to get frustrated when actually you find out it's really difficult and you get stuck in the middle. So what I really love about Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, she has one quote that I like a lot, which is, "A good enough novel written now is better than a perfect novel meticulously written never." I actually screwed that up. A good enough novel violently written now is better than a perfect novel meticulously written never. So a lot of people think, you know, writing should be easy and enjoyable, and I should get it right and it should be perfect. And a lot of writers will spend lots of time polishing the individual sentences and they'll never actually finish the book. So the main point, the takeaway from this quote is that it doesn't matter what you're writing if you don't finish. You have to finish the book before you can share it with other people, and that's where the value actually comes from. So you have to get it done. You have to focus on getting it done. Getting it done is better than getting it perfect. And that's something we learn from the entrepreneur world, which is, you know, finish quickly, ship and launch quickly, get feedback. You get better as a writer the more that you write and the more that you publish. A lot of people say, you know, you have to write 1 million words before you finish your first good book. A lot of people will say you have to write, you know, 7 or 8 crappy novels before you write a good one that's going to sell. So I really like this quote: "A good enough novel violently written now is better than a perfectly not written novel meticulously written never," because most people never finish their book. So if you want to be a writer, you have to be okay with putting out less than perfect first drafts. A lot of people, like, they never finish because your first draft is always going to be really crappy, and you have to be comfortable writing crappy first drafts because that's part of the process. If you think you can just write a perfect first draft and you're not going to get stuck in the middle or be dissatisfied with your early drafts, that's just not going to happen for you. The other quote that I really like from later in the book is, "Perfectionism is just fear in high heels." So if you're striving for perfectionism, like Dali says, don't worry about perfectionism because you'll never reach it. If you're trying to be perfect, that might actually be a symptom of you're afraid to let go. You're afraid of the failure. You're afraid to put your work out in the world. You're afraid of criticism. You're afraid of what people are going to think. A lot of people, they like self-identifying as a writer. They like self-identifying with, you know, I'm a writer. I like writing my book, but they're not comfortable with being an author, which means actually publishing the book and putting it out there, or getting the rejection, you know, sending out 100 queries to agents, or putting it up on Draft to Digital or Smashwords or some other site where you can publish for cheap or for free and just getting reader reaction. A lot of people are afraid to take that step because they're not sure if their writing is good enough. And you don't really know if your writing is good enough until you put it out there and get feedback. And often it isn't good enough, but you can't get better until you get the criticism and the feedback and you learn what you did wrong. So you really have to overcome sometimes the fear of publishing is perfectionism in disguise, or it's disguised as perfectionism. So you think, oh, I'm just, you know, I'm a real author. I'm worried about quality. I want my book to be perfect. I don't want to put it out there until it's ready. Sometimes if you're stuck in that stage and you've been stuck there for a long time, especially if you've been revising a novel for years and you just can't get it done, what I usually tell people is, if you care too much about your project, if you care too much about your book and you really believe in it and it's your one main thing, it's going to be really difficult to finish. So what I recommend is finding another project you don't really care as much about, that you think is kind of a fun or an interesting challenge, but maybe it's not, you know, your life's work or your manifesto. Because if you care too much about the thing, you're going to have more difficulty giving it up and putting it out into the world and getting judged by it. And also, it's not your responsibility to judge the work. It's your responsibility to finish the work. Let other people judge the work, or don't worry about the judgment. Finish the work. Strive to get better. The first book you write is not going to be your best book. It's probably just going to be one of many, and you need to write, you know, a few bad books before you get to develop your skills enough to write really high quality books. Anyway, that's what I got out of the book, Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. I really did enjoy it. I have read lots of books on creativity, and this is one of my new favorites for sure. I was trying to find it again on my iPad, but I can't. So anyway, I recommend it. I definitely think you should buy it. No matter what type of creator you are, I think it'll really help a lot, especially if you're dealing with fear or of failure, or trying to get the work done, or not being really sure how to finish and get it out there. Thanks, bye-bye.